Hi everybody, welcome back to Orlando, Florida. We're here at the JW Marriott, and this is theCUBE's live coverage of Appian World 2026. We've been talking a lot about process, bringing probabilistic and deterministic AI together, and really solving hardcore business problems, tough business problems. We've been calling it East Coast AI. It's coined by the CEO of Appian, Matt. Jake Rank is here, he's the Vice President of Product Management at Appian, and we're going to get into where we're at in 2026, some of the announcements that were made at this event. We've talked a little bit about data fabric. We can double click on that and agentic. Jake, thanks for coming on, good to see you.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here.
All right, so let's do a rundown. You guys made a bunch of news this week. We heard some of it in the keynote. Lay it out, what's the big news? What should we know about?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've put out a lot of new features, a lot of improvements to existing features. We're really doubling down on our overall goal to make applications reliable and get results from AI. So one of the big innovations was we've doubled down on everything that we did around document processing, which is an area that really exploded in 2025. We saw huge amounts of results from customers there last year, and so we've dramatically improved, added more capabilities to that offering, and we're expecting to see big results from that in 2026 as well. We also, of course, enhanced our agent offering, expanding what we can do in terms of reliability, expanding the tool sets that it can take advantage of, and opening up new agentic collaboration with humans and agents working together. And then, as you said before, data fabric. Data fabric has always been a core foundation of what Appian's product has to offer, and it's a foundation upon which we build a tremendous amount of value with AI. So we've enhanced that, expanded the scale, expanded the amount of data types that you can pull in, including documents, and we've started to open it up to the ecosystem more so that people can use Appian in new ways with agents in Appian, agents outside of Appian, just opening us up and giving us more capability. So many of those different things that accelerate how people can use Appian to automate their business, but also making it faster to build, right? Modernize applications, use AI to build Appian applications and get to the outcome faster.
Let's go through some of those and try to connect the dots for folks. So, start with document processing. You said it really started to take off in 2025. I presume you did some document processing prior to 2025, intelligent document processing. Now it's like super intelligent document processing. So presumably generative AI had an impact on that whole space. Take us through sort of the changes in the market and how you guys responded to it. Yeah,
I mean, it's been very interesting because we have been working on it for a number of years. I think maybe 6 years, it was 2020, I think, when we released the first version of Document Center.
Right.
And the technology has obviously changed a lot since then. So I think one of the things that we've seen that's opened it up, Gen AI has made more powerful with easier configuration. But honestly, under the hood, all the technologies are still available, and there are places that you want to use computer vision or machine learning for certain use cases, and in Appian, you can easily select all those different technologies. We're making it really easy to get the right tool for the right job when you're processing different types of documents. Now, one of the things we just added now was more support for Excel, so large Excel files, which every company has and needs to really process in an automated way. Being able to apply AI to that is now going to help us automate even more tasks.
Like what? Like what can I do as you're talking power Excel users, right? With big files.
Sure.
What kinds of things can I do today after these announcements that I couldn't do before? Right,
so you might be downloading Excel from, like, say, a legacy site, somewhere where you don't have an API to integrate with those systems, but they just post an Excel and it's got 50,000, 100,000 rows in it. Maybe it's got some macros, maybe it's got split cells, it's got multiple tabs, right? Just the kind of Excel that really gets business done, but is also kind of complicated to look at.
Ugh.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, yeah, do you want to sit there and copy paste a bunch of stuff to find the exact row that matters? No, you want to digitize that in a way that's useful and that you can bring into and associate with data fabric, and now you've got it, you've unlocked it, you've associated it with all of the other enterprise information in your ecosystem, and agents, humans, everybody can use that as part of the processing.
Interesting. I mean, my personal experience with such tools, not your tool, I haven't used it, but with sort of Excel Copilot assistants, I've found them to be clunky, not that accurate, to quote Mark Benioff, clippy-like. And so, I presume you guys were well aware of some of those challenges. So how did you address that? What's the experience like for customers?
Yeah, well I mean, to think that something's going to come off like Clippy or something like that, it's very naive, right? It's not going to get you the real results that you need. So even with Excel, with other document formats, what we've done is we've built in the checks so that you can build test sets and you can evaluate those test sets. When it doesn't meet your needs, right? When you're maybe getting 50%, 70%, 80%, not getting to be reliable, we look at all the failures and actually use AI to automatically generate recommendations for how you should tweak the configuration so that you, even being a non-expert, can sit down and very rapidly go through that feedback loop to go from 80 to 90 to 99% accurate. That's actually a number that we see pretty often with our customers is 99% accuracy and also the confidence to go forward with accuracy and actually go straight through processing.
This is super important because, again, my personal experience is when you get frustrated with the AI, you don't want to go in cell by cell and figure out exactly what's going on. So you try to get the AI to do it, it's not working, so finally you say, all right, it's like, I'll just do it, if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. And you go in and it's painful and you just wasted the time with the AI. It sounds like you guys were thoughtful about that and have had great success, so that's
I 100% agree. Actually, my own personal experience mirrors yours. You sometimes invest time and you don't get the payback. We are not asking people to use AI on its own. We are asking people to use features that are built with AI as part of the backbone. But the fact that we've built all the structure around, built the feature around it, you're getting the value, you're getting a sure path to value because it's not just ad hoc AI, it's actually a feature, it's an intentional way of solving a business problem that happens to use AI.
So it might be do this at some point, but it might not start with some superficial do this. It might start with, where should I be focused? How does this work? What does this mean?
Sure.
And then maybe I'll tell it to act on my behalf at some point when I trust it.
In this case, we're not even asking you to make that decision, right? You're uploading a file. That's your intent, is to extract from that file. You don't have to prompt it for anything. It already knows the intent. So you're taking a whole category of possible mistakes off the table, and that's what leads to the fast results and the reliability.
How does it know the intent? Because you've got application logic and process knowledge that's being injected into the system?
Right, we've looked across all the different customers and the kinds of challenges that they're facing in their workflows when they're trying to process documents, and we've built specific features that address those needs. So now that you just use a feature that's designed to extract from documents. Other features like agents, other features can do other things, right? Generate text, summarize an email, those are all different business tasks, and we've built features that are fit for each of those tasks. So you're not just using AI, you're using a feature that's designed to solve your problem.
That's pretty dope, as the young people would say. All right, let's talk about agentic collaboration. What is agentic collaboration and how is it different than human collaboration?
Yeah, sure. So we released our first version of agents last year and now we're continuing to invest. We've released new capabilities for agents, just like with DocCenter, to add reliability and make it easier to get to results. So similar ways that humans can very easily add feedback to their agent runs, just as easy as thumbs up or thumbs down. Now you can make your agents better. You can get recommendations and it'll automatically tell you how you want to modify those agents. Now we often see agents be put into a task flow. Maybe a human is doing a task today and you can replace that human or augment them with an agent. But of course there's also going to be circumstances where you want to have a human still be in control, right? Agents can be in control of some tasks, humans can be in control of other tasks. In those cases we've now also allowed you to inject an agent right into the screen so that you can have your task and your agent that helps you complete that task. And that's really important in today's business because you're seeing the loss of institutional knowledge as there's been workforce turnover. And so you have new people coming in, an agent can actually bring all that context of years worth of institutional knowledge to bear, even if that person has only been on the job for a week.
I want to come back and ask you about the thumbs up and the thumbs down, because as a user, I'm often skeptical of it. Like, okay, should I spend the time? If I do spend the time, I'm just helping Google get richer. OpenAI scale. Maybe I'll let somebody else. But they have the scale. My point is, they have the scale, and even superficial feedback, they can extract some nuggets, and at scale they can come up with the answer. Do you guys use a similar technique? You don't have obviously the scale of Google, or is it more you've got some secret sauce to interpret based on whatever actions were taken, or is there an enticement because it's enterprise, people care? How do you take the thumbs up and thumbs down and make it non-superficial?
Sure, sure. I mean, I think that large vendors do have scale, but they don't have scale on individual customer processes. Our customers are actually the experts on their processes and their tasks, so they're the best ones that are qualified to actually give feedback. It's a very focused approach on that specific task. Again, going back to the overall strategy of using AI in a constrained way so that you're actually solving a specific problem, and by giving feedback on that specific problem, you're actually just doing what people in the business are already doing. They're already getting the results of these actions, and they're already saying, this is good, this is bad. Now we're able to leverage that feedback. So we're actually improving the way that they can increase that feedback loop. Instead of sending an email, they can just put it right into the system, and the system automatically processes it to create recommendations for improvement.
So you need depth, obviously. You've got depth, process depth. You do need sufficient scale, but it doesn't have to be Google scale, nowhere close to that. And you probably need a little bit of time, and enough users interacting with the system, and then you can kind of get to that very high level of accuracy. What's been your experience? I mean, it's still early, but is it, like what kind of curve are folks on? I can see with our own AI, I'll come in, maybe for some reason I haven't used some tool for several weeks and I come back and it's really, wow, this is really good now. It used to not be so good. Something must have changed. Like, what are you seeing in terms of the time horizon of that improvement, or the shape of the curve of that improvement?
I mean, it honestly can be quite fast. So when we were developing some of our agentic feedback mechanisms, we actually saw an initial agent that was 75% accurate go up to 95% accuracy with just 30 minutes of feedback. So it's quite rapid actually, and you don't need a ton of instances. Now, of course, as you deploy that into production and business changes, right? New types of partners are onboarded, new customers, trends in the world change. So you've got to keep that accuracy high, and the consistent feedback also helps refine and keep the accuracy high over time.
Yeah, because there is this trend in LLMs, they will degrade over time if you don't. Yeah, it's like all of us, you got to keep in shape.
Well, they call it drift, right?
So
the business actually changes, and if you leave your model behind, you're not changing with the business, so keeping fresh feedback helps you stay modern.
So agentic collaboration, just to put a finer point on it, is the collaboration between agents and humans. That's
right, and we've made that new. You now have it directly in your interface, so when you're doing a task in Appian, you can have an assistant right there to help you do it. Okay,
data fabric. I mean, that term, I think Gartner coined the term data fabric. It was kind of sort of, there was a little battle between Zhamak Dehghani's data mesh and Gartner's data fabric. It caused a little confusion in the market, but I think data fabric is more considered a technology. Data mesh is more of sort of an organizational construct, and so that's sort of been cleared up. But data fabric is this way to essentially virtualize your data without necessarily having to move the system. Tell us more about data fabric. What's the history of data fabric? Why is it so cool?
Yeah, Appian's been working on data fabric for years, even back before some of the official terms were coined.
So maybe you coined it.
Yeah, I think
maybe not. Maybe it was called something else. Anytime we can give credit to Gartner, we love it, because they need credit. Anyway.
So data fabric has become one of the essential foundations of Appian, and it's really powerful because what it does is, like you said, it brings together information from across your enterprise without the drama of data warehouses and actually having to re-platform your information. Data fabric allows data to live in the sources of record, but be virtualized in a layer that allows you to connect and relate information across different sources, to secure it at a row or column level, and then to turn around and expose it to all the other capabilities in Appian as well as outside of Appian. So every screen can now be a 360-degree view, no matter where the data lives in your enterprise. So as a foundation, it's been incredibly powerful, and now with agents, it's even more so. What is the kind of secret sauce of data fabric? Is it like some kind of data virtualization technology? Is there a second question, is there a harmonization, data harmonization component? I'd love to drill into that a little bit. Yeah, well I think we saw a problem and then we went and found a solution. And it was hard work, right? I mean, it was a lot of engineering, a lot of understanding what our customers' problems are, a lot of working with customers over time. But as we've evolved it, we've managed to create something that I think has been truly successful and that is very widely adopted amongst our customers. And again, now that we have that foundation, we're able to build on top of it because everything else that we do benefits from that foundation. Kind of a Columbo question for those of you who are old enough to know who Columbo is, but okay, so can I achieve the same thing? I know I can't, but explain why, with like materialized views. So explain what's different, because data fabric is a fundamental foundation, and I'm presuming there's read-write capabilities, but maybe not.
but you know, materialized views for years were kind of the way in which we sort of virtualized our data. Explain the difference.
Yeah, well, there's a number of ones. You actually hit on one, right? I mean, you're not having to move the data, which materialized views is great if you have access to all that information in that particular database engine, right? But now you can relate information from all the way across the enterprise, even from web services, from public data sources, you can bring it all together in Data Fabric. And then, like you said, it is read-write. So unlike a data warehouse, unlike maybe a data lake, it's an operational system. So you're actually able to build not just reports, but also processes that do real work using Data Fabric. And I think that really sets Data Fabric, and specifically Appian's Data Fabric, apart from what a lot of other vendors have.
So irrespective of the data store, the storage format, the physical location, cloud, on-prem, edge, doesn't matter.
We have many customers who are using VPN to on-premise data systems, even if they're in Appian Cloud. So there's many ways to bring the information in, and once it's there, you have a common layer, a common foundation to build agents and UIs and other services for your enterprise.
Okay, but for me to go, Jake, from that data ingestion to being able to have an agent trust it, there has to be some kind of, call it semantics, context. I call it harmonization. Sometimes people confuse it with, semantics can be in a BI platform and it doesn't capture the entire, where I'm going at. But so, is there a harmonization capability that's inherent there? Is that evolving? I mean, I think about Palantir ontology as sort of the thing everybody talks about, but then of course you need forward deployed engineers to make all that happen, but still very powerful. I'm learning here that you guys have a very powerful technology. Is there a harmonization component to it?
Yeah, and there is. I mean, of course, you don't need forward deployed engineers all the time, and it's also much more operational than maybe some of these services that only do a lot of reporting. And we call it the context layer, and actually it applies to Data Fabric. It applies to all of the things that you build in Appian, but the idea that you have metadata, you have a description, you have a title, you understand the meaning of the data, so semantics, right? You do understand what the data represents, which means when an agent looks at that information, it understands how to use it effectively. It knows which records to query, what relationships to follow, what values to filter by. All of that is encoded in our context layer, and again, data is really powerful, but it does the same for processes, business rules, documents. All of what you build in Appian has the context layer that allows us to use agents effectively on top of it.
So this is what we would, in our parlance, in the theCUBE research, we call this the system of intelligence. Some people maybe think of that as legacy. We don't. We think there's got to be this intelligence layer. Some guys on our team call it a cognitive surface, but it's intelligence that interacts. Well, let me ask you, what role does the LLM play in all this?
Well, I mean, certainly LLMs are what have unlocked so much, but if you don't put an LLM or a generative AI into a system that does real work, it's not really doing much. So the LLM is responsible for understanding the natural language, which is what the context layer is providing, and then reasoning about the decisions that it wants to take. So it's an important part of the system, but it's only one part of the system.
But people realize that taking an LLM and sticking it in front of a database, even if you vectorize it, it's like, okay, now what? What can I really do with that? And so you've got to have this sort of what we're calling a system of intelligence to be able to harmonize that data and then serve it up to agents so they can be trusted. Okay, cool, that's very helpful. Okay, now the ecosystem piece of that, so that's opening up Data Fabric to the ecosystem. Explain that, how you do that. MCP is involved?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we've always been a good player in the ecosystem. I mean, Appian goes into complex enterprise environments that have lots of systems, and it's important for us to be able to work with those systems. So we've always had strong integration story. Now we have MCP so that we can take all that data and the context layer that's providing it, make it available. If you want to use it from your other systems using AI or other agents, you can. And at the same time, we've enabled our own agents to use MCP tools. So as MCP or its subsequent technologies that may come after MCP come, we're going to be able to keep using all of those same tools, and all that value that you've built with the tools for data, all the value that you've built in Appian with the tools for processes are going to be available for you in your enterprise to take advantage of, whether you're using Appian's AI or other AI.
So that means the entries and the exits, entry into and the exits from your sister system are open. You obviously have your own IP, you're not giving that away, but you're letting people in and you're letting people get out.
Well, we're still a platform where you can come in and build a process. I mean, even in this world of agentic processing, there's still certain things that you want to have happen in a very precise way, whether for regulatory reasons or speed or cost. And we provide those tools as well as the agentic tools. So mixing deterministic processes and agentic processes together lets you pick the most appropriate way to solve any problem.
Yeah, you don't always need generative. In fact, sometimes you don't want it in there. I know I got to get from point A to point B. Here's how this is the most efficient path. I know it. It works. Boom, make it happen. All right, Jake, hey, thanks so much for coming on theCUBE and going deeper on,
thank you
the
very much.
announcements, and it was very useful. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, thank you.
All right, keep it right there. We're winding up day 2. This is Dave Vellante for Allison Kosick and the entire CUBE team. Appian World 2026 from Florida. We'll be right back, ready for this short break.